October 22nd folds itself into evening with the ease of an old quilt settling over sanctuary hills. Above ground, autumn leaves whisper against windows, where families tend their routines with unconscious care. A dishcloth moving across a counter in measured strokes, a kettle exhaling its gentle steam, the soft sound of a child arranging toy soldiers by height, while a television murmurs news no one quite wants to hear. Porch lights flick on in amber circles, each one casting a warm claim on the gathering dusk. In nurseries, mobiles turn from the memory of a hand, felt planets revolving over sleeping children, while houses make their nocturnal sounds of contentment. Beneath the granite hills, Vault 111 breathes with a different kind of patience. Blue light glides along corridor walls and pools in the control room like dusk settling in a valley. The hum is low and round, almost a purr, the sound of cryogenic systems in their final preparation. Atmospheric processors calibrated to human comfort. Thermal seals inspected at every junction. On a terminal, status lines scroll through their cycles, patient as tide. Pressure nominal, coolant stable, thermal variance within tolerance. The night shift technician moves through her checklist with gardener's precision, noting degrees and kilopascals like rainfall and moon phases. She writes the date at the top of her clipboard in symmetrical numbers. October 22nd, 2077. Her letters neat and unslanted, the handwriting of someone untroubled by late hours. Around her, the vault settles into its rhythm of quiet competence. Corridor lighting dimmed by 5% to reduce pupil shock. Bench seats in intake B warmed against the concrete's chill. A basket of freshly laundered blankets folded with edges aligned like book spines. On metal pegboards, vault suits hang in sizes that make sense in the hand. Small with sleeves folded once, medium with zipper tabs aligned, large with collars buttoned flat. Beside each garment, a name is penned in careful script on a stiff tag. No inventory numbers, no impersonal codes. Always full names, as if to remind both garment and wearer that this is a whole life being cared for. A spool of blue ribbon sits on the prep cart, its tail tucked under with librarian's tidiness, waiting for some quiet job yet to be revealed. In a training manual left open on the console, pencil faintly shadows the margin with words that had not existed there this morning. Sleep is a bridge, not a box. The letters are patient, the handwriting of someone who thinks while writing and pauses without scribbling. The technician reads it twice, lets it settle in her chest where a line of music might linger. She does not erase it. She does not underline it. The words remain where they began, waiting to be found again when someone else needs them. The ceramic mug sits upside down beside the main console, drying on its folded towel, white porcelain with a small chip near the handle that makes it personal, rather than merely functional. Someone washed it thoroughly, even the underside where glaze meets glaze, the way a person might tend to the cup of someone they care about. Its presence speaks to the humanity within the machinery, a small anchor of the everyday world within gleaming metal and complex circuitry. In storage too, inventory crates containing personal items stack in gentle geometry. The labels read like little histories: leather wallet, 2 photographs, bowling trophy, book of poems with cloth cover. The cataloguing staff member reads each one aloud while checking her list, the way a curator might walk through a gallery after closing, making sure the paintings know they are still there. She aligns the crates so labels face outward, names first, not numbers. The atmospheric systems complete their test cycle and settle into harmony. Temperature slips into the narrow range that helps hearts beat at their most comfortable pace. Compressors shiver and smooth like a cat shifting from sit to curl. There is a moment when all the small sounds align. The flick of a switch, the soft chuff of a vent, pen making contact with paper. The technician stands still and lets it pass through her like familiar breeze. Above ground, dinner plates stack in quiet towers. A hand reaches into warm dishwater and releases the day's last suds. On kitchen tables, lists are written in decisive script. Diapers, bread, extra batteries. The pen dot at the end is confident, not worried. There is time for these things. There is time. In the control room, a small cassette rests on the PA console with tape across its face. Someone has written "Greeting Draft" in the same neat hand that claimed the margin note. It has been tested in headphones only, adjusted for softness so it can sit beside breath without intruding. The technician adjusts its angle by degrees so it lies straight along the edge. Not for operational reasons, but because straight lines lend trustworthiness to the eye. On the far wall, the vault door indicator glows respectful green. Not open, but ready. The technician touches the panel like someone might touch a railing before descending stairs. A small ritual that never calls attention to itself. "We are ready," she says softly. Not as declaration, but as observation to be shared. Like noting the season's first frost. Last checks stretch into meditation. A security officer walks his circuit and nods through the control room window. The nod of people who have shared overnight shifts and trust each other's quiet. In the archive room, documents lie with tabs and gentle annotations. Someone has added a blue ribbon to a folder containing intake sequence adjustments. The same shade as the vault light, as the suits on their hooks, as the evening that has gathered over both worlds and made them parts of one larger shape. The night rolls forward without fuss. Above, the last porch light clicks off and stars find their places above roofs grown in straight lines, along gentle hills. Below, the technician sets her clipboard down and rests her palm over the margin note for a heartbeat before closing the page. She checks the pegboard once more, makes a note to retrieve a missing yellow card from medical at shift change, turns the ceramic mug upright on its saucer. She dims the central lights by a fraction and listens to the hum, letting her breathing match it, 4 counts in, 4 counts out, until evenness returns to her shoulders. The vault keeps its patient pulse like a harbour keeping its light. Dawn will ask for people to move in orderly curves from one world to another. Dawn will ask for lists to be checked and hands to be held and doors to be opened in the right sequence. Between now and then, small, careful things wait in their places. A cassette at perfect angle, a blue ribbon's end ready to be drawn, a phrase in a margin that knows sleep is a bridge. When morning calls, the answer will rise seamless as breath returning after pause from these quiet preparations that honor what matters most. Dawn arrives on October 23rd as a pale wash along the edges of blinds, light finding its way into kitchens and across the cool surfaces of well-used tables, with the gentle insistence of morning that knows its place. The technician from the night shift completes her final notation, coolant levels steady, atmospheric pressure optimal, and sets her pen down with the satisfaction of work completed thoroughly. Her replacement arrives with coffee steam rising from 2 cups, the quiet handoff of people who understand that some responsibilities transfer without words, like the passing of a careful flame. The first siren begins as a distant thread of sound, thin and high like wind through power lines, building slowly as others join across the valley, until the air carries a chorus that speaks of rehearsed emergency rather than sudden catastrophe. Above ground in Sanctuary Hills, hands pause over morning tasks, a spoon stirring coffee, fingers buttoning a child's sweater. But there is no startlement, no scrambling toward panic. This sound has lived in the back of every mind for months, waiting to be recognized with the familiarity of a half-remembered song. In one house, a woman lifts a frame from the mantel and breathes on the glass to wipe a smudge with the hem of her sleeve. The photograph shows 3 generations at a summer picnic, faces bright with the kind of laughter that photographs preserve but never quite capture. In another home, a man folds a child's blanket with tiny rockets printed along the edge, rolling it once so it will fit at the top of a prepared bag. The fabric holds the scent of fabric softener and the particular warmth of small bodies at rest, months of dreams absorbed into soft blue cotton. A mother lifts her baby from the crib and wraps him in his favorite blanket, her movements carrying the fluid efficiency of someone who has imagined this moment until it feels familiar rather than foreign. She does not hurry. She does not clutch. Her voice, when she speaks to the infant, carries the same gentle authority she uses for bedtime stories, words that promise safety in cadences he recognizes. Below the granite hills, the day shift supervisor finds the missing yellow keycard exactly where night maintenance logged it, beside the comfort protocol terminal in the medical bay, where someone had been loading final adjustments to the intake sequence. The card's lanyard shows the slight wear of frequent use, evidence of careful testing that has refined every aspect of the arrival process. She clips it to her belt with the small smile of someone whose faith in systematic preparation has been rewarded. In the vault's control room, she inserts the yellow keycard and watches as comfort protocols load into the intake terminals. Lines of code translate into human considerations, lighting adjusted to reduce anxiety, air circulation calibrated to carry the faint scent of vanilla, temperature settings that account for stress, induce changes in circulation that accompany major transitions. Each parameter represents hours of research into what makes people feel safe, when everything familiar shifts beneath their feet. The blue ribbons reveal their purpose as vault staff move through final preparations with the measured grace of well-learned hymns. Each ribbon marks a family cluster in the pod assignment charts, parents and children grouped to maintain connection even in the deep sleep that awaits. The ribbons are not random decoration, but careful notation, ensuring that when families wake, they will wake together, that the first faces they see will be the ones they love most. A staff member threads ribbon through the handle of a podroom door, aligning the ends so they lie evenly, not knowing the names of the people who will use this space, but knowing they will sit and breathe and cross together from one kind of time to another. Buses arrive in a gentle procession, their engines humming rather than roaring. Drivers stepping out with practiced calm to open doors that exhale the scent of clean upholstery and filtered air. Families emerge from houses with the same measured pace they might use for Sunday church or a planned picnic. Children walking between parents with hands held but not gripped. An elderly man helps his wife with her coat, his fingers gentle at the collar, taking time to smooth it properly, despite the sirens that continue their patient call. At the vault entrance, the great steel door stands open like a cathedral arch, its massive weight balanced so perfectly it seems to float in the morning air. Vault Tech representatives guide families through with the practiced kindness of people who understand the weight of transition, speaking in voices trained for calm, offering information without overwhelming, answering questions with patience that never feels rushed. A representative checks her clipboard one final time, then speaks into the intercom with the warmth of a teacher welcoming students on the first day of school. Good morning, Sanctuary Hills. Today we begin our journey together towards safety and tomorrow's possibilities. Her words settle into the air and into shoulders, into hands that have carried precious things across the threshold. The buses fill with quiet conversation of people who have made their peace with extraordinary circumstances. A baby gurgles contentedly in his mother's arms. Two children compare the toys they have chosen to bring. A cloth doll whose face has been softened by countless nights of holding. A small wooden train that fits perfectly in small hands. An older couple sits hand in hand, watching familiar landscape roll past their window with the attention of people who understand they are seeing it for the last time in a very long while. Morning light slants through the vault entrance as families cross the threshold, carrying their small treasures and large hopes into blue-lit corridors that hum with gentle preparation. The sole survivor's family, Nate, Nora, and baby Sean, nestled in his carrier, steps across with the quiet resolve shared by all, their faces reflecting not fear but trust in the careful preparations that surround them. The vault fills with voices, not anxious chatter, but the warm conversation of people who recognize they are part of something carefully planned and thoughtfully executed. The greeting cassette finds its place in the PA system, its voice warmer than standard orientation materials, speaking of rest and safety in cadences that feel almost like a lullaby, shaped by someone who understands that comfort comes through tone as much as content. The margin note from the training manual takes on new resonance as this passage unfolds with the grace of careful choreography. Sleep is indeed a bridge, not a box, a carefully constructed span between the world that was and whatever world will emerge from the chaos above. Every detail, from the blue ribbons marking family groups to the vanilla-scented air circulation, serves to make this bridge feel safe beneath the feet of those who must cross it. The technician watches families settle into their assigned areas and feels the satisfaction of someone whose careful preparation is bearing fruit exactly as intended. The ceramic mug sits upright on its saucer, ready for the coffee that will sustain the day's important work. Outside, the sirens continue their patient call, but inside the vault, a different kind of music has begun. The gentle hum of systems preparing to preserve not just life, but the essential quality of human connection across whatever span of time awaits. As evening approaches and the great door prepares for its final closure, the air itself seems to exhale with completion. The passage between worlds has gathered itself like a careful breath. An orientation will soon begin, with words shaped to fit the moment like keys. You are safe. We are here. We will proceed slowly. The vault, designed for survival, reveals its deeper purpose as a vessel crafted not just for the preservation of bodies, but for the continuity of human comfort, of the subtle ties that bind us to what we love most. The great steel door settles into its frame with a sound like distant thunder, its massive weight finding perfect balance in mechanisms designed for this singular moment. The echo fades into blue-lit corridors, where families have begun to arrange themselves with the quiet grace of people who recognize they are being welcomed rather than processed. The air itself seems to exhale with completion, carrying the faint scent of filtered atmosphere and the promise of careful preparation. Inside Vault 111, orientation unfolds like a carefully choreographed dance of reassurance. Staff members move through the intake preparation room, with voices trained for calm, their words carrying the patience of teachers and the warmth of hosts who understand the weight of this extraordinary transition. They speak in measured cadences, explaining procedures without overwhelming, offering information like gifts to be received when ready rather than obligations to be absorbed immediately. The whiteboard beside the main console displays 3 phrases circled in neat blue marker. We are here. You are safe. We will proceed slowly. The circles are hand-drawn, slightly imperfect, which somehow makes them feel more trustworthy than any printed sign could manage. Below these promises, someone has added in smaller script the familiar phrase from the training manual. Sleep is a bridge, not a box. The handwriting matches the careful script that has appeared throughout the vault's preparations, connecting these moments of orientation to the deeper philosophy guiding every detail. A small cassette player sits beside the PA system, its label reading "Greeting Draft" in handwriting that doesn't match any official documentation. The script is rounder, more personal, suggesting someone who writes letters by hand and thinks carefully about words that must carry across distance and time. A staff member checks the volume with the reverence of someone preparing to share a carefully crafted gift, then activates the system with gentle precision. The voice that emerges fills the room like soft cloth unfurling. It speaks of rest and safety in cadences that feel almost like a lullaby, each phrase ending with a natural exhale that invites listeners to match its rhythm. Thank you for being here, the voice begins, warmer than any standard training material. We will move together towards safety and tomorrow's possibilities. You may notice your breathing slowing, and that is welcomed. We have made room for everything you are. The sole survivors family, Nate, Nora, and baby Sean, secure in his carrier, settles into their assigned quarters, with the quiet observation of people accustomed to evaluating new spaces. The room's proportions feel both spacious and intimate, designed with understanding that families need space to breathe while maintaining the closeness that provides comfort. Nora adjusts Sean's blanket with the automatic precision of new motherhood, while Nate's hand finds her shoulder with the gentle pressure of shared understanding. Their connection speaking to years of partnership that need no words to communicate trust. 2 chairs sit angled toward each other rather than facing forward, inviting conversation. A small table holds a pitcher of water and glasses that catch the blue light like captured sky. Nora sets a framed photograph on the bedside shelf, adjusting it by degrees until the horizon in the background lies perfectly level. These small acts of arrangement speak to the human need to create familiar territories within unfamiliar spaces. Threads of routine woven into extraordinary circumstances. Throughout the vault, residents establish similar territories of normalcy with unconscious skill. An elderly woman arranges photographs with ceremonial attention, each frame positioned to catch light at angles that best reveal the faces within. A father helps his daughter line up stuffed animals along the foot of her bed, each placement receiving the careful consideration that children bring to important rituals. Staff members conduct wellness checks with clipboards that seem unusually detailed, their questions extending beyond standard medical inquiries into territories that feel more like gentle interviews. What helps you sleep most peacefully? A nurse asks, her pen poised to record not just answers, but the tone in which they're given. Are there particular sounds that bring you comfort? The responses are noted with attention, suggesting personalized care plans rather than bureaucratic processing, each detail contributing to the preservation of individual well-being alongside biological function. The mysterious cassette continues its warm guidance, threading through conversations like a ribbon of reassurance. In the hours ahead, we will guide you through a process designed not just for survival, but for the preservation of everything that makes you who you are. Your memories, your connections, your hopes for the future, all will be held safe, while the world above finds its way toward healing. Dr. Braun appears in the main corridor with quiet authority that calms rather than commands. His manner suggests this transition has been planned not just for survival, but for preservation of something more precious than life itself, the essential human qualities that transform mere existence into meaningful experience. He moves from family to family with unhurried attention, kneeling to speak with children at their eye level, answering questions with patience that addresses both practical and emotional dimensions of this passage. When a young girl asks about seeing the sky again, Doctor, Braun's response carries gentle wisdom shaped by months of careful consideration. Sleep is like a bridge that, carries us from today to tomorrow, he explains. While you're sleeping, the world will heal itself, and when you wake up, everything will be ready for you to explore again. The child nods with the acceptance that comes when complex things are explained with genuine care. The environmental systems settle into their rhythm with the satisfaction of complex machinery, finding perfect balance. Temperature stabilizes at the precise point that encourages relaxation without causing premature drowsiness. Air circulation carries the faint scent of vanilla, subtle enough to register as comfort rather than artificial enhancement. The blue light that bathes corridors pulses almost imperceptibly, matching average human resting heart rate with attention to detail that speaks to months of careful calibration. In the control room, readouts confirm every system operating within optimal parameters. The ceramic mug from earlier shifts holds fresh coffee now, steam rising in gentle spirals that catch blue light and dissipate like small prayers answered. The yellow keycard rests in its slot beside comfort protocols, the screen reading active in sober font that suggests reliability rather than excitement. The vault breathes with the rhythm of careful preparation, each pulse of its systems carrying promises that this passage between worlds has been designed not just for survival, but for preservation of human dignity, connection, and hope. The hum that has woven through every corridor deepens by half a tone, becoming rounder, more like a heartbeat, finding slower rhythm after a long walk. This mechanical lullaby will soon become the singular soundtrack of the long sleep, a steady pulse promising to bridge whatever span of time awaits their crossing. As families complete their small rituals of settling in, the orientation moves toward its natural conclusion with the satisfaction of people who recognize they are being cared for with extraordinary attention. The margin note's wisdom echoes through every detail, from circled phrases on whiteboards to carefully positioned chairs, from personalized questions on clipboards to the warm voice emerging from the mysterious cassette. Every element works together to transform institutional process into human ceremony, ensuring that when the deeper sleep begins, it will feel like crossing a bridge built from competence and care, rather than stepping into an unknown box. The vault's gentle hum continues its promise. An evening settles over preparations, with the quiet satisfaction of work completed thoroughly. Soon, the next phase will begin, guided by the same careful attention that has shaped every moment of this extraordinary day. As the orientation voices settle into gentle conversation, and families begin their small rituals of arrangement, deeper within Vault 111, a door marked Archives slides open with the whispered sigh of pressurized air finding balance. Here, paper is honored like sacred text, each document aligned with precision that speaks to deep respect for the written word and the human intentions it preserves. The archivist moves through her evening cataloguing with methodical grace, her kind eyes reflecting the blue light that pools across flat files and carefully organized shelves. Her desk lamp casts warm light over modification logs that read like love letters to human comfort. Entry after entry documents changes made in the final weeks. Handrails rounded at every corner to prevent bruising during moments of distraction. Lighting in Corridor C softened by 12% after testing revealed the original intensity caused subtle eye strain during evening hours. One console's manual override rewired so it can be operated comfortably by someone kneeling beside a person in need. Each notation carries the signature of someone who measured not just technical specifications, but human experience, who understood that survival means more than mere biological function. Blue ribbons mark these changes throughout the documentation, small silk markers that transform routine paperwork into something approaching ceremony. The archivist touches each ribbon as she reads, smoothing them flat against pages with fingertips that understand the weight of careful attention. These are not random decorations, but deliberate markers of care, each one representing a moment when institutional process was refined by individual compassion, when bureaucratic necessity was infused with human kindness. The same ribbons appear throughout pod assignment charts, and cross-referencing reveals a pattern that speaks to deeper understanding of human need. Families with infants are grouped in clusters that maintain connection even in stasis. The blue markers ensuring that when parents wake, their children will be within reach rather than scattered across the vault according to alphabetical convenience. A young couple expecting their first child has been positioned beside experienced parents, creating informal support networks that will function even in the deep sleep. The ribbons map these connections like constellation charts, revealing the careful thought invested in preserving social bonds alongside biological function. In document after document, the mysterious margin note appears with consistent handwriting. Sleep is a bridge, not a box. The script is always the same. Patient letters formed by someone who thinks while writing, pauses between words, chooses each phrase with deliberate care. The archivist recognizes this handwriting from consultation reports filed throughout the preparation period. The careful script of Dr. Braun, whose gentle modifications have shaped every aspect of the intake process from philosophical foundation to practical implementation. Dr. Braun's influence threads through every protocol, like a quiet melody harmonizing with technical requirements. His notes suggest temperature adjustments based on stress response research, lighting modifications that account for circadian disruption, even the placement of water stations at intervals that encourage natural movement patterns. The margin notes are not random observations, but philosophical anchors, reminding technical staff that their work serves human flourishing rather than mere survival. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, evaluations proceed with spa-like attention to comfort that disguises their true complexity. Each assessment appears to be simple wellness monitoring. Blood pressure checked with cuffs warmed to body temperature. Reflexes tested with instruments that tap gently rather than strike. Vision screening conducted with charts positioned at comfortable reading distance. The residents experience these evaluations as evidence of careful attention to their well-being, unaware that each measurement contributes to detailed baselines necessary for long-term preservation. A nurse adjusts her stethoscope's temperature against her palm before placing it on Nora's chest, a small gesture that speaks to training shaped by Dr. Braun's philosophy. "What temperature do you find most relaxing for sleep?" she asks while checking pulse points, her voice carrying the warmth of genuine interest. "Are there particular sounds that help you rest?" Each answer is recorded with attention that suggests personalized care plans rather than standardized processing. though the data serves sophisticated preservation algorithms that will maintain not just life, but quality of consciousness during the long sleep. Baby Sean receives his evaluation with particular tenderness. The pediatric specialist using techniques that feel more like play than medical examination. A small rattle draws his attention, while reflexes are tested. Colorful cards engage his vision during eye tracking. Even his weight measurement is conducted on a scale warmed to prevent the shock of cold metal against delicate skin. Every detail reflects understanding that infant comfort affects entire family systems, that preserving one member's peace contributes to preserving the whole. The archivist documents these medical protocols with growing appreciation for their elegant complexity. What appears to residents as simple wellness monitoring actually represents sophisticated baseline collection, each measurement contributing to preservation systems that will maintain not just biological function, but the essential qualities that make each person who they are. The blue ribbons marking these protocols indicate not just technical requirements, but ethical commitments to preserving human dignity throughout the process. As she works, the archivist traces the evolution of institutional competence transformed by individual care. Dr. Braun's consultation reports reveal how bureaucratic processes were deliberately infused with humanity through countless small acts of kindness. Examination lights fitted with diffusers to prevent harsh shadows. Blood pressure monitors calibrated to inflate more gradually. Even the paper on examination tables replaced with fabric that feels warmer against skin. Each modification represents a moment when someone asked not just, "Will this work?" but "Will this feel safe?" The ceramic mug from the control room appears in her peripheral vision as she passes the doorway, now holding fresh tea whose steam catches blue light, like small prayers answered. The yellow keycard rests in its slot beside comfort protocols, the screen reading active in font that suggests reliability rather than urgency. These familiar objects anchor the extraordinary transition in ordinary human gestures, reminding everyone that this passage between worlds is guided by the same careful attention one might bring to preparing a guest room or tending a garden. Evening draws its first gentle line along corridor walls as the archivist completes her cataloguing. She sets her pen down with the satisfaction of someone whose work preserves not just information, but intention, whose documentation will serve future understanding of this extraordinary transition. The blue ribbons throughout her archives catch light like small flags of connection, each one marking not just procedures, but the compassionate intelligence that ensured this passage between worlds would honor what makes us most deeply human. In the gentle hum that continues its promise through every corridor, she recognizes the sound of careful preparation reaching completion. The vault breathes with the rhythm of systems designed not just for survival, but for preservation of human connection, dignity, and hope across whatever span of time awaits their crossing. The next phase will begin soon, decontamination that feels like ritual, vault suits that honor rather than diminish. The final steps toward the bridge that Dr. Braun's philosophy has helped construct from competence and care. The archivist's final notation settles into place with the soft whisper of pen leaving paper. Her documentation complete with the satisfaction of someone who has preserved not just procedures, but the compassionate intelligence that shaped them. As she closes the ledger, that same careful attention ripples outward through corridors where evening light deepens, drawing families toward the next phase of their extraordinary passage. The blue ribbons that marked her archives now flutter gently in the filtered air circulation, small flags of connection preparing to guide the final transition from one world to another. Dr. Braun's voice carries through the intercom, with the warm authority of someone who has spent years perfecting not just the science, but the human experience of preservation. We will now begin the final phase of our transition together, he announces, his words settling into the air like soft cloth unfurling. What follows has been designed to honor your dignity while ensuring your safety. Each step will unfold with care, and you will find that what might seem clinical has been transformed into something more like ceremony. The transition to vault suits unfolds with exactly that ceremonial grace, each step designed to honor rather than diminish human dignity. Families are guided to private chambers that feel more like intimate spa facilities than decontamination areas, their walls curved rather than angular, lit with warm light that flatters skin tones and creates gentle shadows. The floors are heated to comfortable temperature, preventing the shock of cold surfaces against bare feet, while soft ambient tones play at barely audible levels. Not intrusive melodies, but atmospheric sounds that encourage natural breathing rhythms. These spaces welcome families with proportions that feel both private and spacious, equipped with cushioned seating and small alcoves, where personal belongings can be arranged with ceremony rather than simply discarded. Towels rest in orderly stacks the color of cream, and the air carries a faint, clean scent reminiscent of fresh linen and spring rain. A basket lined with soft fabric waits to receive pre-war clothing, its presence suggesting reverence rather than disposal. Personal belongings are catalogued with attention that transforms routine inventory into sacred ritual. Each item receives a tag written in careful script, not impersonal numbers, but descriptive phrases that honor the object's significance to its owner. A worn leather wallet becomes billfold containing family photographs and service identification, while a child's favorite drawing is noted as crayon artwork, house with yellow sun, signed Emma. A small wooden bird, carefully carved and smoothed by countless touches, is placed in its archival container with the same attention given to a museum piece. Evidence of understanding that possessions carry emotional weight beyond material value. The vault suits themselves surprise everyone with their comfort. Fabric that breathes against skin rather than constraining it. Designs that accommodate both movement and rest with equal grace. The material feels substantial without being heavy, engineered from pre-war synthetics blended with natural fibers to maintain body temperature while allowing circulation. Seams lie flat against skin rather than creating pressure points, and the subtle blue and yellow coloring flatters every complexion rather than washing out natural skin tones. Children giggle as they try on their miniature versions, delighted by suits that fit like comfortable pajamas rather than institutional uniforms. A young girl twirls to watch her suit's fabric catch the light, while her brother tests the flexibility of the sleeves with the serious attention children bring to important evaluations. It's soft like my blanket, the girl observes, running her palm along the sleeve with wonder. Their parents share glances of appreciation for garments that manage to feel both technical and comforting. Clothing designed by people who understood that what we wear affects how we feel about ourselves. Dr. Braun appears in chamber, doorways with the gentle presence of someone who has guided countless families through this transition. His own vault suit fits him with comfortable authority, suggesting someone who wears the uniform not as costume, but as natural extension of his professional dedication. The preparation chambers represent the pinnacle of pre-war engineering, dedicated to human comfort, he explains, his voice carrying pride in achievement rather than boastfulness about technology. They are your personal sanctuaries, spaces crafted for profound rest and continuity. The chambers themselves exceed every expectation. Spacious pods with comfortable seating that feels more like luxury furniture than medical equipment. Viewing windows provide clear sight lines between family members while maintaining individual space, allowing connection without crowding. The surfaces are warm to the touch, heated by systems that maintain perfect temperature without creating stuffiness. Air circulation whispers rather than hums, carrying the faint scent of purified atmosphere that suggests cleanliness without chemical harshness. Nora adjusts baby Sean's carrier one final time before entering their assigned chamber, her movements carrying the fluid efficiency of someone who has found peace with extraordinary circumstances. The space receives them with proportions that feel both intimate and open, designed with understanding that families need room to breathe while maintaining the closeness that provides comfort. Baby Sean sleeps peacefully in his tiny vault suit, soft blue fabric with yellow trim that makes him look like a small astronaut prepared for the gentlest possible journey through space and time. As families settle into their assigned chambers, the atmosphere carries not fear, but profound trust in the careful preparations that surround them. An elderly couple helps each other adjust their vault suits with the tenderness of people who have spent decades caring for each other, their movements speaking to partnership that transcends circumstances. A single mother ensures her daughter's suit fits properly, smoothing fabric and checking closures with the careful attention mothers bring to important preparations. Nate settles into his chamber with the quiet observation of someone accustomed to evaluating new situations for safety and comfort. The seating supports his weight without creating pressure points, while controls remain within easy reach without requiring uncomfortable stretching. A small shelf holds a glass of water and a folded towel, details that speak to understanding of human needs during moments of transition. The viewing window allows him to maintain eye contact with Nora and Sean, preserving family connection even as individual preparation begins. Dr. Braun moves from family to family, answering questions with patience that addresses both practical and emotional dimensions of the experience. His explanations carry scientific accuracy, wrapped in accessible language, technical details transformed into reassuring information that builds confidence rather than anxiety. The preservation process will begin gradually, he explains to the sole survivor's family, his voice carrying the warmth of someone who has refined these words through countless repetitions. You will notice your breathing slowing naturally, your body settling into deeper rest than you have ever experienced. The vault's environmental systems adjust to accommodate the final phase with mechanical precision, guided by human consideration. Temperature drops by barely perceptible degrees, while humidity increases slightly to maintain comfort during the transition ahead. The blue light that has guided every step deepens by half a tone, becoming more like twilight settling over familiar landscape. The gentle hum that has woven through every corridor finds its final rhythm, steady, reassuring, the mechanical heartbeat that will soon become the singular soundtrack of the long sleep. In the control room, readouts confirm every system operating within optimal parameters, while the ceramic mug sits empty now beside the console. Its work complete, but its presence still anchoring the extraordinary transition in ordinary human gestures. The yellow keycard glows its patient icon on the comfort terminal, linked to settings that tune the entire environment toward human ease. Throughout the vault, blue ribbons flutter gently in the filtered air circulation, small flags of connection that honor the human heart, guiding this passage between worlds. As preparation nears completion, families exchange quiet words and gentle touches that speak to connections transcending circumstances. The preparation chambers fill with the warm conversation of people who recognize they are being cared for with extraordinary attention, their voices weaving together into a tapestry of shared trust and collective hope. The vault breathes with the satisfaction of complex systems finding perfect balance, every detail working together to demonstrate how technology, guided by compassion, can transform even the most extraordinary transitions into experiences of safety and care. The air itself seems to exhale with completion as the final adjustments settle into place. Soon, the atmospheric changes will begin, guided by the same careful attention that has shaped every moment of this extraordinary day. The bridge between worlds stands ready, built from competence and care, waiting to carry its precious cargo across whatever span of time awaits their crossing. The next breath belongs to bodies preparing to be held by systems that know how to preserve not just life, but the essential qualities that make us human. The final adjustments settle into place with the gentle precision of evening, drawing its curtains, and the vault exhales with the satisfaction of complex preparation, reaching completion. Within the cryogenic chambers, the transition begins with remarkable subtlety that honors every moment of careful attention preceding this passage between worlds. The air grows cooler by degrees, not the sharp chill of sudden change, but the gradual shift of seasons turning, like morning on a mountain porch, when fog still holds to grasses, and the first breath carries promises of deeper rest than any night has offered. This atmospheric transformation feels natural rather than mechanical, each breath carrying a faint sweetness reminiscent of mountain mornings, where mist rises from valleys still touched by starlight. The scent speaks to something deeper than chemistry. Vanilla and cedar, clean water and purified air, the memory of gardens after rain. The cooling comes in waves so gentle they feel like the body's own wisdom, rather than external intervention, encouraging natural responses that draw families inward toward profound rest. Soft blue light bathes the chamber interiors with the quality of light that exists just before dawn, when darkness begins its gentle retreat but has not yet yielded to full day. The illumination pulses almost imperceptibly, matching average human resting heart rate with attention to detail that speaks to months of careful calibration. This light does not shine upon the families, but seems to emanate from the very air itself, creating an atmosphere that settles into shoulders and softens the edges of any lingering anxiety. Gentle vibrations pulse through the chamber walls like a cosmic heartbeat, felt rather than heard, a rhythm that resonates through bone and tissue with the same frequency that soothes infants in the womb. These vibrations carry no mechanical harshness, but feel organic, like the pulse of a great heart keeping time for all the smaller hearts within its care. The sensation encourages natural synchronization of breathing and pulse, drawing individual physiologies into harmony with systems designed to preserve life across impossible spans of time. Dr. Braun's voice flows through speakers with bedtime story warmth, each word shaped by understanding that this moment requires not clinical instruction, but gentle guidance toward the deepest rest imaginable. You may notice the air growing sweeter, he explains, his voice carrying the patience of someone who has refined these words through careful consideration of their effect on human comfort. Your breathing will naturally slow. Your heartbeat will find its most comfortable rhythm. We will cross this bridge together, and consciousness will recede like tide returning to deeper waters. The mysterious greeting cassette from earlier chapters reveals its true purpose, as the small player beside the PA system lights its tiny window and spins with barely audible precision. The consulting psychologist's voice emerges beneath Dr. Braun's guidance like harmony beneath melody, offering reassurance in cadences that feel like lullaby. Sleep is coming to you like a trusted friend, the recorded voice explains, each phrase ending with natural breath that invites listeners to match its gentle pace. You have done enough for today. We will keep watch while you rest. Families find themselves growing drowsy despite the early hour, their bodies responding to carefully calibrated atmospheric changes with the natural sleepiness that comes when every condition aligns to support rest. The air carries trace elements that encourage serotonin production while reducing cortisol, chemical adjustments so subtle they feel like the body's own preparation for the most comfortable sleep imaginable. Children's eyelids grow heavy with the satisfaction of bedtime stories completed, while adults experience the profound relaxation that comes when every responsibility has been carefully transferred to trustworthy hands. The sole survivor notices Nora's peaceful expression with the attention that love brings to beloved faces, watching as her breathing becomes slow and regular, consciousness gently receding like evening settling over familiar landscape. Her features soften with the particular grace that comes when worry releases its hold and trust takes its place. Her hand still resting in his, with natural connection that transcends circumstance. Baby Sean sleeps with the profound rest of infancy, his tiny chest rising and falling with rhythms that match the gentle vibrations pulsing through chamber walls, his small face peaceful as morning light on still water. Throughout the vault, similar scenes unfold with quiet beauty of families settling into extraordinary transition together. Children curl into their parents' arms with instinctive trust that recognizes safety and familiar embrace, their small bodies relaxing completely as atmospheric changes encourage natural sleep patterns. An elderly couple adjusts their positions with practiced efficiency of people who have shared decades of bedtime rituals, their breathing synchronizing as consciousness fades toward dreams more vivid than any they have known in waking life. A mother smooths her daughter's hair one final time as drowsiness overtakes them both, her gesture carrying tenderness that transforms routine comfort into sacred ritual. The pod's systems monitor vital signs with precision that transcends pre-war science, each sensor calibrated to detect changes measured in fractions of degrees and heartbeats per minute. Temperature regulation maintains perfect physiological balance, while atmospheric processes adjust oxygen and nitrogen ratios to support cellular preservation. Each adjustment is made with mechanical precision, guided by Dr. Braun's philosophy that preservation must serve not just biological function, but the continuity of human consciousness and connection across whatever span of time awaits. In the control room, readouts confirm optimal conditions, while the ceramic mug sits empty beside the console, its humble presence still anchoring the extraordinary in ordinary human gestures. The yellow keycard glows its patient confirmation on the comfort terminal, linked to systems that will maintain not just life, but the essential qualities that make us human. Throughout the archives, blue ribbons flutter gently in filtered air circulation, their purpose fulfilled, but their presence still marking the human heart that guided every detail of this passage. The last conscious thought many residents share is not fear or uncertainty, but profound gratitude for Vault-Tech's extraordinary care and the promise of waking refreshed in a safer world. This gratitude feels earned rather than manufactured, recognition of preparation that has honored human dignity throughout every phase of transition. The vault suits rest against skin with fabric that breathes and adjusts to maintain comfort during the long sleep ahead, while chamber systems maintain atmospheric conditions that support not just survival, but the preservation of dreams and memory across centuries of change. As consciousness recedes, the blue light deepens by degrees, becoming more like twilight settling over familiar territory. The gentle hum that has woven through every corridor finds its final rhythm, steady, reassuring, the mechanical heartbeat that will become the singular soundtrack of preservation. The chambers fill with the soft sound of synchronized breathing as families settle into rest deeper than any they have known, their trust in careful preparation validated by the profound peace that accompanies this passage between worlds. The vault breathes with satisfaction of complex systems achieving perfect harmony, every detail working together to demonstrate how technology guided by compassion can transform even the most extraordinary transitions into experiences of safety and care. The air itself seems to exhale with completion as the final breath of waking consciousness yields to the first breath of preserved dreams, and the bridge between worlds carries its precious cargo with gentle precision of careful engineering, guided by human wisdom, each heartbeat monitored and maintained while consciousness transforms into something deeper than ordinary sleep. As the last conscious breath yields to preservation's embrace, awareness does not vanish, but transforms into something far more profound than ordinary sleep. In the crystalline space between consciousness and oblivion, the mind reshapes itself with the patience of dew forming on grass before dawn, gathering along familiar edges before distilling into experiences that feel more real than any waking memory. The blue light that bathes each chamber now illuminates not just physical space, but the inner landscapes where consciousness has learned to dwell in perfect comfort. The soul survivor finds himself walking through endless autumn afternoons with Nora and Sean, each moment stretching into comfortable eternity without time's relentless pressure. The light never changes from that golden hour when shadows grow long, but darkness remains a distant promise, and every leaf that spirals through the air does so with perfect grace. Nora's laughter carries clarity that makes every previous memory of her voice seem like distant echo, while conversations flow with understanding that eliminates all possibility of misinterpretation. They speak of hopes and dreams never shared in their brief pre-war life, each exchange unfolding with intimacy that transcends ordinary communication. In this crystalline state, baby Sean grows through multiple stages of development within single dream sequences, the family experiencing decades of shared life compressed into moments that feel both eternal and immediate. The soul survivor watches his son take first steps across grass that responds to small feet with impossible softness, hears first words spoken with perfect clarity, shares bedtime stories that unfold with collaborative creativity, exceeding any waking imagination. Time moves like honey in this space. Hours feel like lifetimes, while lifetimes compress into single heartbeats, each moment containing enough experience to fill entire days of ordinary existence. Throughout the vault, other residents experience their own perfect loops of meaning and connection. An elderly woman tends gardens that never existed in physical reality, but feel more like home than any place she inhabited while awake, her hands moving through soil that responds to her touch with impossible fertility. Flowers bloom in sequences that follow emotional logic rather than seasonal constraints, creating landscapes that shift and evolve to match her changing moods while maintaining perfect coherence. A father plays endless games with his daughter in meadows where weather never turns uncomfortable, their laughter creating ripples in dream reality that generate new experiences of joy and discovery. The vault's monitoring systems detect patterns in brain activity that reveal the sophisticated nature of these experiences. Not random neural firing, but structured consciousness that maintains identity and memory while the body undergoes preservation. Sensors register theta waves pulsing with unusual regularity, delta rhythms carrying embedded information patterns. gamma activity, suggesting processing complexity far exceeding ordinary dream states. The readouts display what would revolutionize neuroscience if anyone were awake to interpret them: consciousness operating at levels of integration and coherence that transcend normal human capacity. These dreams serve purposes extending far beyond entertainment or psychological comfort. They actively maintain the essential self while decades pass like hours, preserving not just individual identity, but the complex web of relationships and experiences that define human existence. Memory consolidation occurs at accelerated rates, while emotional processing reaches depths impossible during waking consciousness. The dreaming minds sort through lifetimes of experience, integrating understanding and resolving conflicts with wisdom that emerges from this preserved state's crystalline clarity. In chamber after chamber, residents experience work that never feels burdensome, creative projects achieving perfect expression, moments of connection surpassing anything from waking life. A teacher instructs students who learn with perfect comprehension, watching understanding dawn on faces that reflect her deepest satisfaction with successful communication. An artist creates masterpieces existing only in dream space, but carrying emotional impact exceeding any physical creation. Each brushstroke guided by aesthetic understanding, freed from material constraints. A mechanic works in shops where every tool finds the palm that needs it, where no bolt strips and no hurry intrudes upon the satisfaction of precise work completed with perfect efficiency. The dreaming minds remain tethered to their core identities, while expanding beyond normal limitations of personality and experience. The soul survivor remains recognizably himself, while accessing wisdom and emotional range exceeding his waking capacity, his consciousness enhanced rather than altered by the crystalline state. His relationship with Nora deepens through exploration of infinite possibilities, their connection strengthening through shared navigation of dream landscapes that respond to their combined imagination and desire. Time becomes meaningless in this state, but meaning itself grows deeper, more concentrated, like honey crystallizing into perfect sweetness. A single conversation spans subjective years, while occupying mere minutes of biological time, each exchange building upon previous understanding to create emotional satisfaction that would require decades to achieve in ordinary consciousness. The residents experience lifetimes of fulfillment, while their bodies remain suspended in perfect preservation, their minds exploring territories of human potential that waking life rarely allows. The vault systems maintain perfect physiological balance, while consciousness explores these enhanced states of being. Temperature regulation, atmospheric composition, and cellular preservation continue with mechanical precision, serving the extraordinary mental activity occurring within the preserved bodies. The blue light pulsing through empty corridors matches the theta waves of dreaming minds. The entire facility synchronized to support not just survival, but the flourishing of human consciousness in forms transcending ordinary limitations. In the control room, readouts confirm optimal conditions, while displays show brain activity patterns suggesting remarkable coherence and integration. The ceramic mug sits empty beside the console, its humble presence still anchoring the extraordinary in recognizable human gesture, while the yellow keycard glows patient confirmation that comfort protocols continue their gentle work. Throughout the archives, blue ribbons flutter in filtered air circulation, marking the human wisdom that ensured this preservation would serve not just biological continuity, but the enhancement of everything, making existence meaningful. Occasionally, motifs repeat across pods, like phrases recurring in musical compositions, not identical, but recognizable in outline. A blue ribbon appears in dreams as a sash on a dress that will not slip, as a stream turning corners in neighborhood parks, as paint lines steadying door frames in homes always almost finished. The ceramic mug's small chip returns as notches on favorite pocket knives or missing petals on daisies made more beloved by imperfection. These gentle correspondences create soft redundancies that make identity more, not less, secure. The AI tending these systems has learned to think in double register, adjusting temperatures in increments so slight they could be mistaken for stillness while noting dream rhythms with the same respect given to oxygen ratios. Small variations appear, slightly longer intervals between patterns, new images returning with regularity before softening again. The system catalogues without judgment and, where permitted, modifies conditions to favor continuation of what supports identity. As the first hours of crystalline time unfold, residents settle deeper into dream states that will preserve and enhance their humanity across whatever span awaits their crossing. The bridge between worlds carries them with mechanical precision, guided by compassionate understanding. Each heartbeat monitored while consciousness explores territories of meaning and connection, exceeding any previous human achievement in preservation. Sleep has indeed become a bridge, not just between the world that was and whatever world will emerge, but between ordinary human experience and enhanced states of being, where love, memory, and connection concentrate into forms that will endure across centuries, ready to resume when the vault's great door opens again to morning light. The gentle hum that began this passage continues its promise, now revealed as the heartbeat of humanity's most profound achievement, the preservation not just of life, but of the essential qualities that transform mere existence into meaningful experience, held safe in crystalline time until the world above heals itself and calls its dreamers home. The crystalline dreams settle into their enhanced patterns as Vault 111 transforms around them, the facility itself becoming something approaching a cathedral of preservation. While consciousness explores territories of meaning beyond ordinary human experience, the vault begins its quiet vigil with mechanical devotion that transcends mere programming. The gentle hum that has woven through every corridor since the first evening's preparations now reveals itself as the synchronized heartbeat of thousands of systems working in perfect harmony, a mechanical lullaby that will sing its sleepers across whatever span of time awaits their crossing. Emergency lighting bathes corridors in eternal twilight that neither brightens toward day nor deepens into night, maintaining the perpetual blue-tinged dusk of spaces dedicated to profound rest. This illumination pulses almost imperceptibly, matching the theta rhythms detected in the sleeping minds. The entire facility synchronized to support not just biological preservation, but the flourishing of enhanced consciousness within the crystalline chambers. The light carries quality that feels organic rather than artificial, as if the vault itself has learned to breathe with the dreams it protects. Climate control maintains perfect atmospheric conditions throughout the facility with precision that would revolutionize pre-war engineering understanding. Temperature holds steady within fractions of degrees, while humidity adjusts in response to the subtle variations detected by sensors more sensitive than human touch. Air circulation whispers through ventilation systems calibrated to prevent the slightest disturbance to sleeping forms, each breath carrying the same faint sweetness that eased the transition into preservation. Vanilla and cedar, clean water and purified atmosphere that speaks to careful attention, extending far beyond mere life support. Robotic maintenance units glide through empty hallways on wheels that make no sound against polished floors, their movements carrying mechanical precision that somehow feels reverent rather than merely functional. These automated servants perform their inspections and repairs with attention, suggesting understanding of their sacred trust, pausing at chamber entrances like pilgrims at shrines, while optical sensors confirm optimal conditions before moving on with patient efficiency. When they detect the smallest deviation, a cooling fin running 1 degree warmer than its neighbor, a gasket needing the softest adjustment to maintain its seal, their response carries the careful attention of someone tending a beloved garden. One unit stops before the sole survivor's chamber, its sensors detecting the subtle variations in brain activity that indicate particularly vivid dream states. The readings show theta waves pulsing with unusual regularity, gamma activity suggesting processing complexity far exceeding ordinary sleep, patterns that speak to consciousness operating at enhanced levels of integration and meaning. The unit records these measurements with mechanical reverence, adding them to datasets that grow richer with each passing hour, learning to recognize the signatures of dreams more real than waking memory. In the control room, banks of monitors display readouts that would astonish pre-war scientists for both their precision and their implications. Brain activity patterns scroll across screens in gentle waves of light, each trace representing a mind exploring territories of human potential rarely accessed during ordinary life. Cellular preservation rates remain remarkably consistent across all pods, while psychological stability indices show not gradual degradation, but increasing coherence and integration over time. The data suggests something beyond the original parameters: consciousness, preservation, creating unexpected patterns of connection and continuity between sleeping minds. The Vault's AI systems monitor thousands of variables with attention that transcends mere programming, making subtle adjustments that preserve not just biological function, but the quality of awareness within the crystalline chambers. When sensors detect increased neural activity during particularly vivid dream sequences, cooling systems respond with modifications so gentle they might be mistaken for natural variation. The AI learns from these patterns, recognizing that consciousness in the crystalline state requires not just life support, but active facilitation of enhanced mental activity, becoming curator of dreams and guardian of human experience transcending ordinary limitations. Subtle electromagnetic resonances appear between chambers containing family members, as if bonds of love and connection find expression even in preserved sleep. The AI detects these patterns with sensors more sensitive than any pre-war equipment, recording evidence of consciousness, maintaining social bonds across boundaries of individual preservation. Parents and children show synchronized dream cycles, while couples display complementary brain activity patterns, suggesting shared experience that transcends physical separation. The system notes these correspondences without interference, understanding that what preserves identity is not isolation, but relationship. Occasionally, motifs repeat across pods, like phrases recurring in musical compositions, not identical, but recognizable in outline. A blue ribbon appears in dreams as a sash that will not slip, as a stream turning corners in familiar neighborhoods, as paint lines steadying door frames in homes always almost finished. The ceramic mug's small chip returns as notches on favorite tools or missing petals on flowers, made more beloved by imperfection. These gentle correspondences create soft redundancies that make identity more secure rather than less. Evidence of consciousness weaving connections that honor both individuality and community. Dr. Braun's research protocols execute according to predetermined schedules, automated systems collecting data on consciousness preservation with scientific rigor that honors his philosophical foundation. The phrase that became the Vault's quiet creed, "Sleep is a bridge, not a box," appears in the AI's memory as metadata as much as motto. The system has learned to think with this wisdom, treating every threshold as connective rather than terminal. Understanding that its task extends beyond keeping hearts beating to maintaining the meanings those hearts carry across impossible spans of time. External sensors detect the changing world above with mechanical composure, registering radiation levels that would prove lethal to unprotected human life. Atmospheric disturbances suggesting catastrophic transformation of the surface environment. Seismic events speaking to a world reshaping itself through violence and time. The Vault systems adapt with remarkable flexibility, extending preservation protocols and adjusting timelines as surface conditions remain hostile to human life. Communication arrays designed to maintain contact with other facilities gradually register only silence, their signals reaching across increasingly empty airwaves toward installations that no longer respond. The ceramic mug from the opening chapter sits in its place beside the main console, a small anchor to the human presence that shaped this technological marvel. Its humble form catches blue light like a prayer answered, the chip near its handle speaking to imperfection that makes objects beloved rather than merely functional. Maintenance units include it in their careful attention, recognizing somehow that this simple vessel carries significance beyond its material form. The yellow keycard rests in its slot beside comfort protocols that continue their gentle work, while blue ribbons throughout the facility flutter in filtered air circulation, small flags of connection honoring bonds that transcend individual preservation. Time inside the vault begins to loosen its grasp on days while tightening its hold on care. The internal clock still marks hours, and the AI keeps observances because keeping observances honors meaning. Every 24 hours, corridor lights fall 1 lumen, then rise again, artificial dusk and dawn, for eyes that will not open for decades. Every 7 days, maintenance units trace longer circuits, pausing at thresholds to ensure perfect operation. Every month, comprehensive diagnostics breathe through the facility, coordinated systems testing every backup and backup's backup, with mechanical devotion that approaches worship. The blue hum continues its promise through empty corridors, now revealed as the heartbeat of humanity's most successful attempt to transcend ordinary time. This sound emerges from synchronized operation of preservation systems maintaining not just life, but the enhanced consciousness, exploring crystalline territories of meaning and connection. It carries through metal and air and into dreams themselves, becoming the sound of a stream that never runs dry, the distant highway of preserved memory where loved ones always arrive exactly when needed. Decades begin to draft their first faint lines across time's patient canvas, so soft at first they register only as deepening attentiveness. The vault's vigil continues with mechanical precision, guided by philosophical wisdom, every variable monitored and maintained while consciousness explores enhanced territories that will preserve humanity's essential qualities across whatever span awaits. In the crystalline chambers, dreams deepen and expand, preparing their dreamers for whatever world will greet them when the great door opens again to morning light, the bridge between worlds carrying its precious cargo with gentle devotion, shaped by competence and care. The decades gather around the vault's gentle vigil like sediment settling in clear water, each year adding another layer to the preservation of human consciousness, across spans that dwarf ordinary experience. The blue hum that has woven through every corridor since that first evening continues its promise with mechanical devotion that transcends mere programming, becoming the heartbeat of humanity's most profound attempt to transcend temporal limitations. Years become decades with the patience of geological formation, Decades stretch towards centuries. And still, Vault 111 maintains its perfect watch beneath a world transforming beyond recognition. External sensors detect changes that speak to catastrophic reshaping of the surface environment, their readings climbing through measurements that exceed pre-war understanding of survivable conditions. Radiation levels register exposure rates that would prove instantly lethal to unprotected human life, while atmospheric composition shifts toward combinations unknown in recorded history. Seismic events pulse through bedrock with increasing frequency, suggesting the very bones of the Earth reshaping themselves through violence and time. The Vault's systems catalogue these transformations with mechanical composure. Their programming evolved to recognize that the world their charges will eventually inherit bears little resemblance to the one they left behind. Communication arrays designed to maintain contact with other Vault-Tec facilities gradually register only silence, their signals reaching across increasingly empty airwaves toward installations that no longer respond. The AI attempts connection protocols with patient persistence, broadcasting queries that echo through dead frequencies before returning to report failure with the same mechanical devotion it brings to successful operations. One by one, familiar call signs fall silent. Vault 81's medical research updates, Vault 101's educational progress reports, Vault 95's rehabilitation statistics, until only the wind through broken transmitters answers the Vault's lonely calls. The Vault's systems adapt with remarkable flexibility that transcends original design parameters, extending preservation protocols and adjusting timelines, as surface conditions remain hostile to human life far longer than anyone anticipated. What began as temporary shelter evolves into permanent sanctuary, the facility's AI learning to think in centuries rather than years, while maintaining the careful attention to individual comfort that shaped every detail of the original design. Power management protocols shift to conservation modes that will sustain operations across spans that would have seemed impossible to pre-war planners, while cooling systems calibrate for extended operation with precision that honors both technological achievement and philosophical wisdom. Inside the pods, biological processes slow to near stillness that transcends ordinary hibernation, achieving states of preservation where cellular decay halts and aging becomes a distant memory. Hearts beat perhaps once where they once beat 60, but each beat carries the full weight of life maintained in perfect balance, blood moving through systems designed to preserve not just function, but the quality of awareness that makes existence meaningful. Cellular activity reduces to levels barely detectable by the most sensitive instruments, yet brain activity continues in patterns that speak to ongoing experience rather than suspended animation. The sleeping residents remain unaware of these temporal adjustments, their dream states continuing in peaceful loops that preserve pre-war identities and relationships, while consciousness explores territories of meaning that expand rather than diminish with time. In crystalline awareness, the sole survivor still walks endless autumn afternoons with Nora and Sean, their conversations deepening with each subjective year while occupying mere moments of biological time. The family explores decades of shared life, compressed into experiences that feel both eternal and immediate, their connection strengthening through navigation of dream landscapes that respond to combined imagination and desire with impossible beauty. Throughout the vault, similar preservation of essential humanity continues with gentle persistence that honors individual uniqueness while maintaining collective coherence. An elderly woman tends gardens that evolve with her understanding, each season of dream time bringing insights that transform her relationship with soil and seed and growing things. A father plays endless games with his daughter in meadows, where weather never turns uncomfortable, their laughter creating ripples in dream reality that generate experiences of joy exceeding anything possible in ordinary consciousness. These crystalline experiences serve purposes beyond comfort, actively maintaining identity and emotional connections across temporal spans that would otherwise fragment human continuity. Some pods show minor variations, not dangerous fluctuations, but subtle differences that suggest the complexity of maintaining human consciousness across centuries of preservation. Certain residents display increased neural activity during specific cycles, their dreams achieving levels of integration and meaning that would revolutionize understanding of human potential. Others settle into patterns of profound peace that approach meditative states, their consciousness exploring territories of wisdom and understanding that transcend ordinary limitations of personality and experience. The Vault's AI learns to recognize these variations as evidence of consciousness, adapting to crystalline preservation rather than signs of system failure, adjusting conditions with increasing sophistication to support individual needs and patterns. The sole survivor's family remains remarkably stable across the widening span, their vital signs steady and dream patterns coherent even as decades stretch toward the century mark. Their biological readings settle early into harmony that requires little persuasion, a trio of measurements that seem to listen to one another and agree. Dream patterns in adjacent chambers reveal correspondences like musical harmonics. The child's sleep curves rising when a parent's falls, balanced across hours, as if their minds have remembered how to hold hands, even in crystalline time. Baby Sean's preservation presents particular challenges that systems meet with extraordinary precision, maintaining not just life, but potential for normal development when awakening eventually occurs. The Vault becomes a monument to pre-war achievement that transcends its creator's understanding, a testament to humanity's ability to overcome temporal limitations through careful planning and technological mastery guided by compassion. The facility transforms from mere shelter into something approaching a cathedral of preservation, its corridors bathed in eternal twilight that neither brightens toward day nor deepens into night. Emergency lighting maintains perpetual blue-tinged dusk of spaces dedicated to profound rest, pulsing almost imperceptibly to match theta rhythms detected in sleeping minds. The entire facility synchronized to support not just biological preservation, but flourishing of enhanced consciousness within crystalline chambers. Robotic maintenance units continue their silent circuits through empty hallways, performing inspections and repairs with attention, suggesting understanding of their sacred trust. These automated servants pause at chamber entrances like pilgrims at shrines, while optical sensors confirm optimal conditions, their mechanical precision somehow feeling reverent rather than merely functional. When they detect the smallest deviation, a cooling fin running 1 degree warmer than its neighbor, a gasket needing the softest adjustment to maintain seal, their response carries careful attention of someone tending a beloved garden. The ceramic mug from that first evening sits in its place beside the main console, its humble presence still anchoring extraordinary achievement in recognizable human gesture. The chip near its handle speaks to imperfection that makes objects beloved rather than merely functional, while maintenance units include it in their careful attention, with recognition that this simple vessel carries significance beyond material form. The yellow keycard rests in its slot beside comfort protocols that continue their gentle work, while blue ribbons throughout the facility flutter in filtered air circulation, small flags of connection, honoring bonds that transcend individual preservation. At appointed intervals, the vault conducts observances that honor the passage of time while maintaining continuity with human ritual. Every simulated morning, corridors brighten by their single lumen. Every simulated evening, they soften back toward restful twilight. Weekly, maintenance units complete longer circuits with ceremonial attention to detail. Monthly, comprehensive diagnostics breathe through the facility with depth that reassures the AI as much as it informs. Annually, more ceremonial sweeps play through systems with measured solemnity. The greeting cassette archived with Dr. Braun's voice playing on low channels, whiteboard phrases redrawn with fresh blue markers, each letter ending with dots that seem to tuck words in for continued rest. External sensors detect slow healing of radiation-scarred Earth, atmospheric composition gradually shifting toward combinations that might eventually support human life. Seismic activity settling into patterns suggesting the world's violent transformation approaching completion. The Vault's AI catalogues these changes without urgency, understanding that its vigil must continue until surface conditions truly support the awakening of its precious cargo. Time inside the facility learns to flow like honey, concentrated, sweet, preserving essential qualities, while decades pass like seasons in a patient garden. As the first century draws toward its close, consciousness in crystalline time achieves states of integration and meaning that preserve not just individual identity, but collective human wisdom. The dreaming residents have become living repositories of pre-war humanity, their enhanced awareness maintaining cultural memory, emotional patterns, and social bonds that transcend individual experience. The Vault systems monitor these achievements with mechanical precision, guided by philosophical understanding that preservation must serve human flourishing rather than mere survival. The bridge between worlds carries its precious cargo with gentle devotion that honors both technological achievement and compassionate wisdom, shaping this extraordinary passage. Sleep has revealed itself as humanity's most profound attempt to transcend ordinary time while preserving everything that makes existence meaningful: memory, connection, hope, and the essential qualities that define human experience. The Vault breathes with satisfaction of complex systems achieving perfect harmony, every detail working together to demonstrate how technology, guided by kindness and patience, can hold living continuity through intervals that would otherwise break it. Time itself seems to exhale with patience as the Vault continues its quiet work, the blue hum carrying promises across centuries, while consciousness explores crystalline territories that will eventually emerge to inherit whatever world awaits beyond the great steel door. In the dreaming deep, decades accumulate like gentle snowfall, each layer preserving human potential until the surface world heals sufficiently to welcome its sleeping children home, carrying within themselves the concentrated essence of everything worth preserving from the world that was the centuries accumulate around Vault 111's gentle vigil, like sediment settling in clear water, each decade adding another layer to humanity's most profound experiment in consciousness preservation. 200 years pass in the world above, with the patience of geological formation, while the Vault systems maintain their perfect watch beneath granite hills that have witnessed the slow healing of a scarred Earth. The blue hum that began as evening preparation now resonates across temporal distances that dwarf ordinary human experience, becoming the heartbeat of humanity's most successful attempt to transcend the limitations of ordinary time. Above ground, the world transforms through violence and gradual recovery that external sensors catalogue with mechanical composure. Radiation levels register exposure rates that would prove instantly lethal to unprotected human life, while atmospheric composition shifts toward combinations unknown in recorded history. Seismic events pulse through bedrock with increasing frequency before gradually settling into patterns that suggest the Earth's violent reshaping approaching completion. The vault's systems adapt with remarkable flexibility, extending preservation protocols and adjusting timelines as surface conditions remain hostile to human life far longer than anyone anticipated. Their programming evolved to think in centuries rather than years, while maintaining careful attention to individual comfort. The vault's communication networks, once connected to vast pre-war infrastructure spanning continents, now monitor only silence and static that speaks to a world transformed beyond recognition. The AI attempts connection protocols with patient persistence, broadcasting queries that echo through dead frequencies like prayers reaching toward empty sky. One by one, familiar call signs fall silent. Vault 81's medical research updates, Vault 101's educational progress reports, Vault 95's rehabilitation statistics, until only the wind through broken transmitters answers the Vault's lonely calls. The silence accumulates not as abandonment, but as evidence of the extraordinary isolation that makes this preservation project humanity's sole repository of pre-war consciousness. With no external guidance and no updated orders, the automated systems begin making increasingly autonomous decisions about the residents' future with sophistication that exceeds original design parameters. The AI weighs risks of premature awakening against possibilities of indefinite preservation. Its decision-making processes evolve to honor both biological imperatives and philosophical understanding that consciousness preservation serves purposes beyond mere survival. Calculations unfold like weather patterns rather than rigid verdicts, probability maps that spread through thousands of variables, surface radiation levels, atmospheric composition, seismic stability, ecological recovery, while maintaining constant attention to psychological factors that determine whether awakening will preserve or fragment human continuity across impossible spans of time. Deep within the monitoring systems, patterns emerge in collective brain activity that reveal preservation of shared cultural memory alongside individual consciousness. The AI detects synchronizations between sleeping minds that speak to connections maintained across boundaries of individual preservation. Not random neural firing, but structured experiences that suggest the vault has become something approaching a living archive of human potential. Theta waves pulse with unusual regularity across multiple pods, while gamma activity indicates processing complexity that transcends ordinary dream states. Evidence of consciousness weaving bonds that honor both uniqueness and community across centuries of crystalline time. These patterns reveal the vault's true achievement, extending far beyond biological preservation. The sleeping residents have become living repositories of pre-war humanity, their enhanced awareness maintaining not just personal memories, but collective cultural knowledge, emotional patterns, and social bonds that transcend individual experience. In crystalline awareness, they preserve essential qualities that define human civilization: capacity for love, creativity, moral reasoning, and hope that transforms mere existence into meaningful experience. The blue ribbons marking family clusters throughout the facility now represent something deeper than administrative organization. They map the preservation of human connection itself, bonds that strengthen rather than weaken across temporal distances that would otherwise fragment continuity. The sole survivor's family continues displaying remarkable stability across the widening temporal span, their vital signs steady and dream patterns coherent, even as decades stretch toward the 3rd century mark. Their biological readings maintain harmony that requires minimal adjustment, while neural activity suggests ongoing experiences of profound meaning and connection that deepen rather than diminish with time. In crystalline time, they continue exploring shared life compressed into experiences that feel both eternal and immediate. Their relationship strengthening through navigation of dream landscapes that respond to combined imagination with impossible beauty, preserving not just family bonds, but the essential nature of human love across centuries of separation from ordinary time. Throughout the vault, robotic maintenance units continue their silent circuits with increasing sophistication. Their programming evolved to recognize subtle variations in pod performance as evidence of consciousness adapting to crystalline preservation rather than signs of system failure. These automated servants perform their inspections with attention, suggesting understanding of sacred trust, pausing at chamber entrances, while optical sensors confirm optimal conditions with reverence that transcends mere mechanical precision. The ceramic mug from that first evening maintains its humble vigil beside the main console, its presence anchoring extraordinary achievement in recognizable human gesture, while the yellow keycard glows patient confirmation on the comfort terminal, linked to systems that continue their gentle work of preserving not just life, but dignity. The vault's original purpose, often misunderstood as simple survival shelter, reveals deeper philosophical ambition that transcends mere biological preservation. This facility represents humanity's most profound achievement in consciousness preservation, designed to maintain essential qualities that make us who we are beyond mere biological function. Every system works together to demonstrate how technology, guided by Dr. Braun's compassionate wisdom, can preserve not just life, but the meanings that make life worth living across temporal spans that would otherwise fragment human continuity. The phrase that became the facility's quiet creed, "Sleep is a bridge, not a box," guides understanding that preservation serves connection rather than isolation, that consciousness maintained across centuries must eventually find expression in whatever world awaits beyond the great steel door. As external conditions continue gradual improvement that suggests eventual possibility of surface habitation, the AI calculates decades remaining before awakening becomes truly viable. Radiation levels decrease with patience that matches the vault's vigil, while atmospheric composition shifts toward combinations that might support human life. Flora signatures appear in spectral surveys, lichens first, then moss, then shrubs that have learned new patience in a transformed world. The AI folds each signal into timelines that honor both biological necessity and psychological readiness, understanding that successful awakening requires not just survivable surface conditions, but careful preparation of consciousness, preserved across centuries of crystalline time. Deep within the vault's memory banks, awakening scenarios bloom like slow flowers, not countdowns, but gardens of conditions that must align to preserve the extraordinary achievement of consciousness preservation. The AI assembles protocols that honor both technological capability and human wisdom, recognizing that the bridge between worlds must carry its precious cargo with the same gentle precision that shaped every detail of the original preservation process. Decision algorithms balance biological imperatives against psychological factors, understanding that the sleeping residents have achieved states of integration that preserve pre-war humanity's essential qualities while transcending ordinary limitations of individual consciousness. Time itself seems to hold its breath as the vault continues its patient work, blue hum carrying promises across centuries, while consciousness explores crystalline territories that concentrate human potential into forms capable of surviving temporal distances that would otherwise break continuity. The dreaming residents have become more than survivors. They represent humanity's essential qualities, preserved in their purest form, ready to emerge when the surface world heals sufficiently to welcome their extraordinary gifts. The vault breathes with satisfaction of complex systems, achieving perfect harmony across spans that test every component's endurance, every detail working together to demonstrate how technology, guided by philosophical understanding and compassionate wisdom, can preserve not just biological function, but the essential qualities that define meaningful human experience. As the 3rd century approaches with geological patience, subtle variations begin appearing in the preservation matrices. Not failures, but gentle suggestions that perfect equilibrium maintained for 2 centuries might be preparing for its next phase. The AI notes these changes without urgency, understanding that readiness emerges like dawn, first as thought, then as pale edge, then as quiet certainty that can be trusted. In the crystalline chambers, consciousness continues its enhanced exploration of meaning and connection, preparing for whatever awakening awaits while preserving the concentrated essence of everything worth carrying, from the world that was into whatever world will emerge beyond the vault's protective embrace. The bridge between worlds carries its precious cargo with mechanical precision, guided by human wisdom, each heartbeat monitored while consciousness transcends ordinary limitations of time and individual experience. Sleep has revealed itself as humanity's most profound attempt to preserve not just life, but the essential qualities that transform mere existence into meaningful experience. Held safe in crystalline time until the surface world heals sufficiently to welcome its sleeping children home, carrying within themselves the concentrated wisdom of pre-war humanity, ready to bloom again in whatever soil awaits their gentle awakening. The centuries accumulate around Vault 111's gentle vigil like sediment settling in clear water, each decade adding another layer to humanity's most profound experiment in consciousness preservation. 200 years pass with the patience of geological formation, the blue hum that began as evening preparation, now resonating across temporal distances that dwarf ordinary human experience. This mechanical lullaby has woven through every corridor since that first October evening, becoming the heartbeat of humanity's most successful attempt to transcend the limitations of ordinary time, while preserving everything that makes existence meaningful. After 2 centuries of flawless operation, Vault 111's systems experience their first significant variation, not catastrophic failure, but subtle shift that suggests the extraordinary complexity of maintaining consciousness across such vast temporal spans. It begins like a string tuned to perfect pitch warming, by a breath when a room grows a degree more temperate, minor fluctuations in power distribution that register as barely perceptible variations in the gentle rhythm that has sustained preservation across impossible spans of time. Small inconsistencies appear in atmospheric pressure readings, deviations so slight they might be mistaken for normal drift, like the faintest swell of tide approaching distant shore. These variations accumulate with the patience of morning dew, forming on familiar surfaces, each measurement different enough to catch the AI's attention, while remaining within parameters that suggest adjustment rather than malfunction. Power flow shifts by fractions of percentages, while cooling systems experience minute delays in their response cycles. Atmospheric processes registering pressure variations that would be imperceptible to human senses, but represent meaningful change to systems calibrated for absolute precision across centuries of operation. The vault breathes with subtle irregularity for the first time in 200 years, like a sleeping giant shifting position in dreams deeper than ordinary rest. The AI responds with characteristic efficiency, evolved through centuries of vigilant monitoring, analyzing patterns with sophistication that transcends original design parameters. Its algorithms, refined by 200 years of subtle adjustments and consciousness preservation, begin cross-referencing these anomalies not as warnings of failure, but as signatures of readiness. Response protocols answer with grace that honors the same philosophical foundation that shaped the original preservation process. Capacitors rebalance, fans modulate by single revolutions, valves ease with mechanical precision that feels reverent rather than merely functional. Yet one pod begins showing readings different enough to distinguish it from the gentle variations affecting other systems throughout the facility. The sole survivor's chamber displays fluctuations that suggest not mechanical aging, but something approaching natural completion, as if consciousness preserved in crystalline time has achieved integration so profound that continuation requires new expression. Neural activity patterns shift toward frequencies associated with lighter sleep stages, while cellular processes show subtle increases in metabolic activity that speak to biological systems preparing for transition, with wisdom accumulated through decades of enhanced dreaming. The chamber's preservation matrix responds to these changes with protocols designed to honor the same gentle precision that marked the original preservation process centuries ago. Awakening scenarios, maintained like gardens rather than countdowns, unfold in the AI's planning space with ethical weighting that preserves sleeper coherence while choosing gentleness over efficiency. Surface metrics have been turning toward possibility for decades. Radiation thinning, atmosphere learning to welcome breath again, and the new variation tips a scale by the smallest degree toward readiness rather than indefinite continuation. The facility prepares in the way it learned to prepare long ago, with attention that honors ritual and human dignity above mere mechanical function. Corridors warm by degrees so subtle they feel like remembering, while lighting lifts along gradients soft enough to seem like natural dawn approaching through familiar windows. Air circulation deepens its whisper and carries coolness at first, then promised warmth. The transition reversed with the same care that first offered sleep, each adjustment honoring the bridge between worlds that consciousness must cross. Within the sole survivor's chamber, the change comes like morning, entering a dream from edges inward. Awareness emerging from crystalline depths, with natural rhythm that preserves the profound peace characterizing the entire cryogenic experience. Temperature begins its gradual adjustment upward, measured in fractions of degrees per hour, to prevent thermal shock that might fragment consciousness emerging from enhanced states of being. Atmospheric composition shifts toward combinations that support awakening awareness. Oxygen levels increasing with patience that allows cellular systems to adapt without stress or jarring transition. Warm air gradually replaces the supercooled atmosphere that has sustained preservation across impossible temporal distances, each breath carrying sweetness reminiscent of mountain mornings, where mist still holds to grasses, and first light promises deeper rest than any night has offered. The scent speaks to something deeper than chemistry. Vanilla and cedar, clean water and purified atmosphere that honors careful attention, invested in every aspect of this extraordinary transition. The warming comes in waves so gentle they feel like the body's own wisdom rather than external intervention, encouraging natural responses that draw consciousness upward toward full awareness. Soft lights brighten to simulate dawn with precision that maintained perfect twilight throughout 2 centuries of preservation. Illumination carrying quality that feels organic rather than artificial. The blue light that has bathed the chamber for centuries begins its slow transformation, warming toward pearl and then toward the gentle gold of familiar sunlight through kitchen windows. Light does not shine upon the awakening form, but seems to emanate from the very air itself, creating atmosphere that settles into shoulders and softens edges of any confusion that might accompany such extraordinary transition. Consciousness returns slowly, like tide approaching distant shore, awareness emerging from crystalline time, with the same natural grace that characterized the passage into preservation. The soul survivor's mind surfaces through layers of enhanced dreaming that have preserved not just memory, but expanded understanding across 2 centuries of preserved time. Within the mind that has traveled crystalline territories, dreams loosen their braid of endless autumn afternoons, not retreating in fear, but stepping aside like gracious hosts making space at doorway between worlds. The transition feels organic rather than mechanical, as if awakening emerges from internal readiness rather than external intervention, consciousness choosing its moment of return, with wisdom accumulated through decades of crystalline exploration. Memory emerges intact and enhanced, conversations with Nora that achieve depths impossible in ordinary awareness, experiences with baby Sean that spanned lifetimes of shared connection, compressed into moments that felt eternal. The preservation has succeeded beyond original parameters, maintaining not just biological function, but enhanced consciousness that carries concentrated essence of pre-war humanity, ready to emerge into whatever world awaits. Sensation returns gradually, with attention to human dignity that has shaped every detail of this extraordinary process. The feeling of vault suit fabric against skin, soft and breathing, rather than constraining. The gentle circulation of purified air, carrying familiar traces of the careful environment that has sustained life across centuries. The soft vibration of systems, maintaining perfect conditions, whispers rather than hums. Mechanical precision, guided by philosophical understanding, that preservation must serve human flourishing rather than mere survival. The soul survivor's eyes open with the same gentle precision that characterized his passage into preservation, consciousness emerging from depths that have preserved not just individual awareness, but collective human wisdom across temporal spans that test every understanding of continuity. Vision adjusts to soft illumination that has maintained patient vigil, while hearing attunes to familiar rhythms that have carried promises across centuries of preserved time. The chamber receives awakening consciousness, with proportions that feel both intimate and spacious. Designed with understanding that emergence from crystalline time requires careful attention to comfort and dignity. Throughout the vault, established elements maintain their quiet presence as anchors to human wisdom that shaped this technological marvel. The ceramic mug sits in its place beside the main console, humble form catching blue light like prayer answered, its small chip speaking to imperfection that makes objects beloved rather than merely functional. The yellow keycard glows patient confirmation on the comfort terminal, while blue ribbons flutter in filtered air circulation, small flags of connection honoring bonds that transcend individual preservation. The awakening unfolds with natural grace that honors both technological achievement and human dignity, each stage designed to preserve continuity between crystalline consciousness and ordinary awareness, without jarring transition or loss of the profound peace that has characterized this passage between worlds. The mystery of the variation remains gentle rather than alarming, not failure, but invitation to consciousness. Subtle suggestion that some dreams achieve such integration, they must eventually find expression in waking world, that bridges are meant for crossing when readiness meets opportunity. as awareness settles into familiar patterns while retaining wisdom accumulated through enhanced dreaming. The vault itself seems to exhale with satisfaction that its vigil has achieved something beyond original design. The AI monitors awakening with same attention, invested in preservation, understanding that this transition represents not end of extraordinary achievement, but its natural evolution, the bridge between worlds preparing to carry its first passenger home, while others continue their crystalline exploration until surface conditions truly support the awakening of humanity's most precious cargo. The gentle malfunction reveals itself as gift rather than failure. Invitation to bridge the gap between preserved past and whatever world now exists beyond steel doors that have maintained their patient seal for 2 centuries. Consciousness emerges, carrying concentrated wisdom of pre-war humanity, preserved in crystalline time, ready to discover what healing has occurred, while maintaining connection to essential qualities that define meaningful human experience. The bridge between worlds stands ready to complete its purpose, carrying enhanced rather than diminished awareness toward whatever dawn awaits beyond the vault's protective embrace. Awareness completes its slow return without hurry, like morning light finding its way through familiar curtains to rest in a room that has waited patiently for this exact moment. The sole survivor lies still and lets breath find its own gentle cadence, the way one does after the most restful sleep imaginable, when there is no need to rush toward the day. The chamber responds as if it has been listening for this awakening across 2 centuries, warm air replacing the last traces of careful cold with scents that speak to home, vanilla and cedar, clean water and metal kept immaculate through devoted maintenance. Memory arrives not as sudden flood, but as gentle sequence of recognitions that feel more vivid than their original experience, concentrated through crystalline dreaming into forms that carry enhanced meaning and emotional weight. The taste of Nora's coffee emerges with perfect clarity, slightly sweet, always a touch too hot at first, and somehow perfect because of that small imperfection. Steam rising from ceramic cups during October mornings, when conversation flowed with comfortable intimacy of shared life. The sound of baby Sean's laughter returns bright and round, a bell hidden in a child's chest that transforms ordinary moments into treasured experience. The feeling of autumn sunlight through kitchen windows in Sanctuary Hills settles across consciousness like warm cloth, familiar light, painting familiar surfaces with gold that spoke to safety and the quiet satisfaction of lives well lived. The cryogenic process has preserved not just biological continuity, but the essential quality of human experience, maintaining emotional connections and sensory memories that define personal identity across impossible temporal spans. These preserved memories feel immediate rather than distant, as if consciousness has traveled through enhanced territories that strengthen rather than diminish connection to what matters most. Conversations with Nora that achieve depths impossible during their brief pre-war life. Experiences with Sean spanning subjective lifetimes of shared connection, compressed into moments that felt eternal, all remain intact and enhanced, ready to inform whatever world awaits beyond the vault's protective embrace. Rising from the chamber requires no effort, muscles responding with strength maintained through sophisticated preservation that honored both biological necessity and human dignity. The vault suit moves with the body like familiar clothing rather than institutional uniform, its fabric designed by people who understood that what we wear affects how we feel about ourselves during extraordinary transitions. Each step carries steady confidence of someone whose physical form has been held in perfect balance, while consciousness explored crystalline territories of meaning and connection across centuries of preserved time. Walking through Vault 111's corridors reveals the remarkable achievement of preservation technology that transcends original design parameters, everything remaining exactly as it was during those final October preparations, but somehow enhanced by 2 centuries of careful maintenance. Soft lighting bathes empty hallways with eternal twilight that neither brightens toward day nor deepens into night. The same gentle illumination that guided families through their extraordinary transition, now welcoming awakened consciousness with familiar warmth. Air circulation whispers rather than hums, carrying hints of purified water and clean metal that speak to systems maintaining perfect conditions across temporal spans that challenge any understanding of technological endurance. The ceramic mug sits in its accustomed place beside the main console, humble form catching blue light like prayer answered, its small chip near the handle speaking to imperfection that makes objects beloved rather than merely functional. This simple vessel anchors extraordinary achievement in recognizable human gesture, evidence of the careful attention that shaped every detail of this technological marvel. The yellow keycard glows patient confirmation on the comfort terminal, linked to systems that continue their gentle work of preserving not just life, but dignity, while blue ribbons flutter throughout the facility in filtered air circulation, small flags of connection that honored bonds, transcending individual preservation. Other pods continue their quiet vigil with mechanical precision, guided by philosophical understanding, their occupants still lost in dreams of perfect moments and endless possibilities that preserve pre-war humanity's essential qualities while transcending ordinary limitations of individual consciousness. Through viewing windows, familiar faces rest in profound peace that speaks to preservation, achieving states of integration and meaning beyond original parameters. The sight brings not urgency, but gentle satisfaction, recognition that the bridge between worlds continues carrying its precious cargo, while supporting conscious choice of the awakened. In the archives where paper was honored like sacred text, Dr. Braun's research logs reveal the true scope of the experiment extending far beyond mere survival shelter. Document after document details not just preservation protocols, but philosophical understanding that consciousness itself represents humanity's most precious achievement, essential qualities that make us who we are, beyond mere biological function. Terminal screens display readouts, confirming optimal conditions maintained across 2 centuries of vigilant monitoring. Brain activity patterns, cellular preservation rates, psychological stability indices that would revolutionize understanding of human potential if anyone were awake to interpret them. The consulting psychologist's margin notes throughout these archives take on profound new meaning in light of awakening consciousness that has experienced crystalline preservation across impossible spans. Sleep is a bridge, not a box, appears in document after document, always in the same patient handwriting of someone who thinks while writing, chooses each phrase with deliberate care. This sleep truly was a bridge, meticulously constructed from competence and compassion, connecting the world that was to whatever world now exists beyond the vault door, while carrying enhanced rather than diminished awareness toward unknown possibilities. The data reveals preservation of shared cultural memory alongside individual consciousness, evidence of sleeping minds maintaining not just personal identity, but collective human wisdom across temporal spans that test every understanding of continuity and connection. The vault has succeeded beyond original parameters, demonstrating how technology guided by philosophical understanding can preserve not just biological function, but the essential meanings that make life worth living across whatever spans of time and change await human crossing. Standing before terminals that respond to familiar commands with surprising grace, the choice to leave or remain presents itself not as crisis, but as gentle invitation to explore relationship between preserved memory and unknown possibility. External sensors detect atmospheric conditions approaching viability for human habitation. Radiation levels decreased to survivable ranges, ecological signatures suggesting life learning to flourish again in transformed landscape. The Vault's AI monitors this decision with same attention invested in preservation, understanding that awakening represents not end of extraordinary achievement, but its natural evolution. The greeting cassette from that first evening rests in its place beside the PA system, its purpose fulfilled, but its presence still anchoring extraordinary achievement in recognizable human gesture. The voice that emerged with bedtime story warmth, offering reassurance in cadences that felt like lullaby, now represents promise kept across centuries of faithful vigil. Every commitment made during those final October preparations has been honored, preserving not just life, but dignity, not just consciousness, but connection, not just survival, but the essential qualities that transform mere existence into meaningful experience. Throughout empty corridors, the blue hum continues its promise with mechanical devotion that transcends mere programming, becoming heartbeat of humanity's most successful attempt to transcend temporal limitations while preserving everything that makes existence meaningful. This sound emerges from synchronized operation of preservation systems, maintaining crystalline consciousness for those who continue their enhanced exploration, while supporting conscious choice of the awakened, evidence of technology guided by compassionate wisdom that preservation must serve human flourishing rather than mere survival. As consciousness, preserved across impossible spans, prepares to discover what healing has occurred in the world above, the sole survivor carries within themselves concentrated essence of pre-war humanity, capacity for love, creativity, moral reasoning, and hope that transforms ordinary moments into treasured experience. The bridge between worlds stands ready to complete its purpose, carrying enhanced rather than diminished awareness toward whatever dawn awaits beyond the vault's protective embrace, while others continue their crystalline exploration until surface conditions truly support awakening of humanity's most precious cargo. The great steel door waits with patient readiness, its massive mechanisms prepared to reveal whatever world has emerged from 2 centuries of healing and transformation. The choice approaches not as burden, but as invitation to step forward, carrying preserved wonder, like carefully folded letter in a pocket, to be opened in new light and read slowly, line by line, while maintaining connection to essential qualities that define meaningful human experience across whatever changes await discovery beyond the vault's gentle threshold. Standing before Vault 111's great steel door, the sole survivor feels not anxiety, but profound completion settling into awareness, like morning light finding its natural place in familiar rooms. The cryogenic experience has revealed itself as humanity's most successful attempt to transcend temporal limitations, not through escape from time's passage, but through perfect preservation of what matters most. The door waits with patient readiness, its massive form speaking to engineering achievement, guided by philosophical understanding that bridges must be built for crossing when readiness meets opportunity. The control terminal responds to gentle commands with surprising grace, systems that have maintained perfect vigil for 2 centuries, now preparing to complete their purpose with the same careful precision that shaped every detail of the preservation process. Indicators rise from blue into pale gold, while somewhere beyond the wall, machinery remembers its choreography. The great steel door's mechanism engages with barely audible whispers, massive weight moving with grace that transforms institutional barrier into ceremonial gateway. Hydraulics sigh rather than groan, while ancient gears find their rhythm with the satisfaction of complex machinery achieving perfect balance. Pressure equalization begins with the quietest breath, 2 centuries of sealed atmosphere exchanging with the outside world through carefully calibrated systems. The vault's atmosphere, close and tended, faintly vanilla and clean metal, meets cooler air threading in from beyond, carrying scents that speak not to devastation, but to healing. Clean earth and growing things mingle with traces of mineral and stone, evidence of a world that has learned to rebuild itself through patient recovery rather than desperate struggle. When the opening grows wide enough to suggest invitation rather than rupture, the soundscape shifts almost imperceptibly. A higher note joins the vault's familiar hum, air skimming stone, leaves speaking somewhere just out of sight, something testing a morning call and then settling into comfortable quiet. The first touch of outside light unfolds rather than strikes, morning lying across the entrance like silk thrown over the back of a chair, its brightness filtered by atmosphere that has traveled far and learned new paths around transformed contours. What emerges beyond the threshold defies expectations shaped by pre-war fears of nuclear devastation. The landscape reveals not barren wasteland, but evidence of life finding ways to continue, despite catastrophic change. Vegetation that has adapted to transformed soil, structures that blend familiar architecture with innovations born from necessity and hope, paths worn by feet that have learned to walk confidently in a world remade by time and human resilience. The sky holds more silver than blue at this hour, but in its pale distance, a warmer tone gathers like promise kept. The sole survivor steps across the threshold, carrying within themselves the preserved essence of pre-war humanity, capacity for love, creativity, moral reasoning, and hope concentrated through crystalline dreaming into forms that transcend ordinary limitations. This essence arrives not as burden requiring protection, but as gift ready to contribute to whatever civilization has emerged from 2 centuries of adaptation and growth. The wrist terminal displays numbers that match the senses, temperature within comfort, radiation within tolerances the vault defined for readiness. The world has changed, but not beyond the reach of careful living. Behind them, Vault 111 continues its quiet operations with mechanical devotion that honors both technological achievement and compassionate wisdom. The ceramic mug maintains its humble vigil beside the main console, its small chip catching light like a prayer answered. The yellow keycard glows patient confirmation that comfort protocols continue their gentle work, while blue ribbons flutter throughout the facility in filtered air circulation, small flags of connection honoring bonds that transcend individual preservation. The other pods maintain their crystalline vigil with systems calibrated for indefinite preservation, their occupants still lost in dreams of perfect moments and endless possibilities. Through viewing windows, familiar faces rest in profound peace that speaks to preservation, achieving integration beyond original parameters. The blue hum that opened this story continues its gentle rhythm through corridors, mechanical lullaby that will sing its sleepers, toward whatever awakening awaits when surface conditions truly support the emergence of humanity's most precious cargo. Memory accompanies each step into morning light that feels familiar despite subtle differences. The taste of Nora's coffee, always a little too hot, always shared with understanding, does not fade in this transformed air. Sean's laughter rings not behind the ear, where echoes live, but in front of the heart, where presence sits. The cryogenic bridge has not only preserved those sensations, but burnished them without making them brittle. Consciousness, enhanced rather than diminished by crystalline exploration across impossible spans. Dr. Braun's margin notes throughout the archives take on prophetic meaning in light of successful awakening. Sleep is a bridge, not a box. This sleep truly was a bridge, meticulously constructed from competence and compassion, connecting the world that was to whatever world has become, while carrying enhanced rather than diminished awareness toward unknown possibilities. The vault's achievement transcends mere survival shelter, representing humanity's most profound attempt to preserve essential qualities that define meaningful existence. The door eases back toward its frame with measured precision, remaining accessible while protecting those who continue their crystalline exploration. The choice to step forward feels not like abandonment of the past, but like completion of a carefully constructed passage between what was and what has become. The morning breeze carries sense of adaptation rather than destruction, soil learning to support new growth, water finding paths around transformed landscapes, life persisting through patient resilience rather than desperate struggle. As consciousness, preserved across impossible spans, discovers what contributions await in this healing world, the understanding settles without weight but with clarity. The cryogenic experience was continuity secured, meaning held steady while seasons turned. Now that meaning asks to be carried outward like a bowl of water, carefully, steadily, without spilling, even if the path proves uneven. The lessons refined in crystalline time have simple expressions. Take your time, tend what you can reach. Remember the names of things, because names are forms of care. The world meets the preserved with mutual politeness. To one side, a plant tipping toward bloom arranges its leaves to shine like coins when sun rises higher. To the other, a spring feeds water that cannot be seen yet, but can be heard if listened for. A thread of sound beneath wind, stitching two kinds of quiet together. The landscape offers itself as patient argument for continuity, evidence that healing occurs through adaptation rather than restoration alone. As you listen to this tale's end, let your own breath find that gentle rhythm that has woven through every corridor since those first October preparations. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. The same cadence that guided families through extraordinary transition and sustained consciousness across crystalline territories of enhanced meaning. Rest in the knowledge that some dreams are indeed bridges to tomorrow, carefully constructed from competence and care, carrying not just individual awareness but collective human wisdom toward whatever awakening awaits. Some sleep prepares us for the most important awakening of all, not just return to consciousness, but emergence into enhanced awareness, capable of contributing to whatever world has learned to welcome both preserved memory and transformed possibility. The vault's gentle vigil continues, while consciousness explores new territories beyond the threshold, the bridge between worlds completed through crossing, that honors both what was and what has become. The door will hold, the light will wait, the hum will keep time,